What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, and joining me to talk about the absolute embarrassment of a first half and somewhat uplifting of a second half of the Packers losing to the Vikings 31 to 29 is my lovely co-host, Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how are you doing, buddy?
Not doing well. We're talking about a Packers loss, of course. So this is not going to be a rosy edition of Talk of the Tundra.
No.
However, I seem to be in better spirits than my lovely co-host here, who's a lot was right on this game, wasn't it, Numac?
Not personally, but
No, not personally, but I'm just saying
just
it's
in
more of the
general.
bragging rights.
The
It's
bragging
a, it's a
rights.
it's a divisional game. It's against the most competitive rival that the Packers have played against in the last 25 years.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to win these games.
You really want to win these games. And they didn't. And they were I guess we'll get into it. Let's just get into it. Packers lose
Yes.
31-29. They go down at halftime 28 to 7. Uh trailed for most of the first half 28 to 0. Last second touchdown, or last minute touchdown in the first half to Jaden Reed gives them 7 points, and I had said at the time maybe that gives them some life going in the second half, and it does, but I think we should exercise all of these first half demons before we talk about the good that was the second half, because there's a lot to talk about that went bad that led to the Packers losing this game in the first half essentially. Like
Yes.
they by all means lost this game in the first half.
Oh, yeah.
So
100%. Because it wasn't like the Vikings, they were moving the ball, but they weren't getting the end zone or they weren't putting up points
mhm.
in the second half to, it was enough to get for the difference, but it wasn't enough to like make this look like a definitive victory, even though I think all Packers fans would agree it was at to varying degrees.
Yeah, I think I don't want to seem like a negative Nancy, but I never really felt like they were going to win. Like it just felt like it was always too far out of reach. I guess I felt like they might have won had they in the possession before the field goal to put it to 31. But the first half definitely wasn't going to be that. The Packers had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven possessions in the first half. They ended, let's see, five of those seven with a missed field goal, an interception, a missed field goal, an interception, and then a turnover on downs. They didn't punt until uh what 30 seconds left in the first half when I believe it was Josh Naylor muffed the punt, and then Bo Melton tried to not tried did scoop and score it into the end zone, but the stupid rule that you can't advance a muffed punt brought that back
Where did
to
that come from?
I don't know,
When does that
but it's the
happen?
stupidest rule to ever exist
That I don't understand that.
because it's different. It's if it hits off of a player, then
Yes.
you can advance it. Like if it hits somebody. But if they mess up the catch, you can't. And I'm guessing it's a player safety thing. I would imagine it's because if you're barreling down on a guy and he catches it and then you
Yeah.
jar it loose, that would be a muff, and then you can't advance it that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to stop.
It was just like one, let's just be honest. I know
We're
we're
getting
gonna
way
get
ahead of
really
ourselves. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. But
I
yes,
know we're gonna get really heavy in on how bad the Packers were that first half. One of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen a punt returner try to catch, I believe it's Jalen Naylor.
Jalen Naylor. Yes, my apologies.
I hardly know her. And he tried to catch the ball like this.
Yeah.
I'm backing up away from my microphone as I'm saying this, so sorry for audio listeners. But he's trying to catch it with his hands up like this, and he can't catch it. One of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen a punt returner do
Yeah,
in my life. Just idiotic.
yeah. All right, let's talk about the bad. I guess in order. Minnesota's
Stuff
first
that went
drive.
bad.
Minnesota's first drive. We're just gonna go in chronological order for this stuff, and then talk about the things as we see them. Uh, Packers are doing pretty well on defense. They're trying to limit Darnold and company um, to short throws and keep Aaron Jones in check, who had a good day today. First mistake comes from Isaiah McDuffie, drops a would-be interception on 2nd and 10. Third and 10 goes to third and 15, delay game. Uh, so it's third and 15. Vikings convert on a crossing route to Jalen Naylor. Big gain there. Next play, I'm pretty sure Darnold tosses an absolute dot that Jordan has him for a touchdown. So
Yes.
two mistakes there. Isaiah McDuffie dropping the interception that hit him in the chest, as well as letting the Vikings convert on a long third and 15 on their first drive of the game. Uh, going, we'll keep going, even on the Packers offense. Third and 8, false start, Elton Jenkins, and then Love misses Wicks on a third and 13, another low throw. And then to end that drive, Braden Narvison misses the first of his two field goal attempts from 37 yards. Drifts right, hits the upright. So not ideal. That'd be the first of two he missed today. Excuse me. He ends up missing another one, 49 yards. That was again wide right, which if you saw the title of this pod, you'll understand now why that's the title. So I
Yeah.
guess let's start there, Jordan, since we don't have too much about Braden Narvison the rest of the game because he didn't kick much else the rest of the game. I think he had like two more extra points he
Get
hit.
extra points.
Yeah, but uh, folks, as you're listening to this Monday morning, maybe on your way to work, maybe while you're at work, um, Jordan, do you think the listeners are going to be fans of a Packer football team that has Braden Narvison on its team anymore?
Repeat that. So that would they
Do you
be
think Braden
fans
Narvison
of
is?
him
Do you
getting?
think Braden Narvison is going to be a Packer come 10:30 tomorrow morning?
I believe you're stealing my question from our questionnaire to start the year of Braden Narvis is going to last the season. We're asking this question after week 4.
Yeah,
This is how dire it is because Braden Narvison, for all the hand wringing about Anders Carlson and the kicking competition, and this is not it.
nope.
It's not it. We are led to believe that these moves are going to pay dividends, and they're not. They Brian Gutekunst, his comment whenever it was, I think it was the his kind of preseason
It was post cut,
post cut
pre
preseason
pre week one.
starting.
No,
Yeah.
pre week one. Yeah, pre
Yeah.
regular season starting.
Yeah. It was very convoluted. Plus, because of going to Brazil, so timing of it was different. But he admitted that he doesn't have patience with special team moves, as much as his Ted Thompson did, or going through these ups and downs. And it's like, so if you graded Anders Carlson that same scale, Braden Arvison theoretically would not be a Packer tomorrow, or not be a Packer this week. And that's where it's like this whole, it's a wild goose chase. That is what's most infuriating about it. And it's not like, it's very easy just to be like, well, they lost by 2 points. If he made one field goal, they want to win the game. Because if you're playing that game, I don't know what that was. If you're playing that game, you can easily do that with the Vikings. Literally, were on the doorstep of scoring in their
Yeah,
last like full drive, and could have made this like where the score looks a little bit more lopsided than it actually was. But the point is, Braden Narvison is not an NFL kicker.
no.
That's what he is. He is by role, by title, whatever you want to call it. But through 4 weeks, and I get it, he's an undrafted kicker, which is what it should be. And he's a rookie kicker, and he's going through all these moments, but it's like, what is it really any different than what life was with Anders Carlson? If anything, it's worse.
Yeah,
It's worse.
The stats don't back up what we've seen. He's missed 4 total on the season so far, but I think he's missed a few extra that were either nullified due to penalty or et cetera, et cetera.
There was
Because
at least one.
last week for sure,
It's still one a week.
yeah, 1 a week is not good, especially when
Anders Carlson hit 80% of his, and everybody's like, you could be better. I know you said the same thing, so this is not just you. I'm lobbying at you, but like
it's a
people are just
royal
like,
you.
a royal you. Yeah, exactly. Lord. Um, were saying like, well, Mason Crosby wasn't that efficient of a kicker. We should expect a higher clip. It's like, first of all, let's just have someone walk in the building and hit a field
39
goal
yard field goal. Yeah.
from 39 yards. Come on, this is what it is. It's the whole thing with that we talked about with Anders Carlson. Not to relitigate something that doesn't really apply to this Packers team.
It might.
He's not on the team.
It might.
He is. He's unsigned. But it was like Anders Carlson is like he was the threes and layups kicker.
Yeah.
It was the mid range game that he that's where he struggled, and lo and behold, it happened to have come during the playoff game where the Packers could have advanced to the championship game if he hits a field goal. But Brandon Armisen, what is his range? You know what I mean?
I
Like I
mean,
don't
extra point.
he extra point that it's been he's
But 39
if
yards
you look
isn't
at
isn't
like
that much longer than extra point.
39 yards, and even if we go through those field goals, which I probably will when I'm done talking, a lot of those are chip shots. They're shorter than extra point range because of where extra points are. So that's where it's infuriating. It was like settling for these, 24 yarders or 27 yarders. It's like, yeah, I could go out there on Lambeau Field, past that sign that says "Don't walk on the grass," and I said, "Yes, I will," and I will kick a field goal and make it.
Um,
Sign me, Brian Gutekunst.
um, to date, he has only today's 39-yard miss was the only one he missed inside of 40. Otherwise, he had missed two. I'm sorry, three between 40 and 49. He had not attempted one plus 50. That might have
Yeah,
been the one that was last week that was nullified due to the defensive holding penalty on Jeffrey Simmons. I think it was 51, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, he hasn't actually registered a full play of 50 plus.
it's
And
not good when the first thing that you type in someone
oh
on
boy,
Google, an NFL kicker,
yeah,
and it says T-Mex still has confidence in Braden Narvison or, struggling kicker.
yeah,
It's like it's either they have confidence in him because he's doing his job like as expected, or
yeah,
it's like the dreaded vote of confidence kind of thing.
yeah,
Sorry to, yeah,
yeah.
continue.
And I think they don't because they proved it in how they handled the rest of the game today. Like going down, they when the Packers scored to make it to 20-28, they went for two instead of going
Yes.
for one, knowing that
Well,
if they
I think to be fair, I think that was because it was 28 to 14, right? Or
no,
no,
it was
28 to 20.
and then they went for two on that touchdown.
It was if they go for two converted, which they did, it was if they hold them, don't give them a score, the next drive or whatever they would be able to win the game with a touchdown, then extra point.
Yeah, that's the optimistic
Theoretically,
way to look at it.
yes,
My way of looking at it is that they went for two with that in mind, knowing that they
yes.
could still tie it if they missed it, versus sending Braden Narvison out there to dig himself further into a hole, miss an extra point, and then feel worse about it. That's how
Sorry,
I see it.
I'm just laughing at that choice of words.
Well,
Uh, you're not wrong. I'm keep talking because I'm going through all these freaking field goals.
yeah, it's
Um,
it's not a lot. Well, I'm telling you, he had uh he's 4 for 4 from 20 to 29 yards um this season. 2 for 2
yes,
from or I'm sorry, 4 for 4 from 20 to 29 yards. 2 of 3 from 30 to 39 and 3 of 5 from 40 to 49. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. So it's not good. It's not good.
It's not good. And I'm doing quick math on a pod,
Quick
hence
maths.
my quick maths. This is only to satisfy my brain and not the listeners,
Are you
so
trying to get
good
his
job,
percent?
Jordan. No, I'm just doing average distance.
It's not going to be good. It's be quite bad actually. But I th- I I think I saw.
His average distance for made field goals is 31 and three quarters.
Yeah, it's not great.
So that is shorter than an extra point.
Yeah, I don't know. Hilariously,
I rest.
hilariously, Forbes, the sports section of Forbes has a article that's like 4 kickers the Packers could get instead of Braden Larson.
I know that game. I know that game very well.
First one is Matthew Wright. Uh, Played 23 games for 4 different teams. He's 85% on field goals and 35 of 37 on extra points. Lost the kicker battle to Chris Boswell in Pittsburgh. Riley Patterson lost his kicking battle in Washington. He's an 88% field kicker, 93 of 97 on extra points. Randy Bullock is around. He's 83%, which isn't much better than what Anders was at the end of his tenure.
It's not even Mason Crosby,
No,
which everybody
an
was saying
80 of 8,
bad.
80 of 83 of extra points, and then also still available is their last kicker is Anders Carls.
See, I know this game because I did this for
Yeah,
a long time. Is
right.
that you make those slideshows, and you're like, oh wait, the whole basis of that he's still out there. You can
He's
you can
still
bring
out
back
there.
the Bucks can bring back Tyler Zeller if they really wanted. Continue.
So,
Sorry.
all right, let's move on from kickers. Braden Larson, if you're
Bernard Dog.
if you're still on this team, come next week. I'll be honestly shocked. So good luck, pal.
So you just to put a bow on this, you expect a different Packers kicker going to Week 5,
Yeah.
going against the Los Angeles Rams.
Yes, I do.
If that does not happen, what will your reaction be?
Shock. Like it's
Will it
untenable.
be
It's untenable to
you
keep
get
doing this.
yeah?
They lose the game
Will you,
because of Larson's missed field goals today, and a lot of other things. Caveat and a lot of other
yeah,
things.
let's be very yeah.
But
I
they
want to
lost
be
by
very
2,
clear.
and they left 6 points on the board.
Yes, but it's the game.
I understand that, but the game feels a lot different. Down 7-3, down what would have been down 21-6, or yeah, 21-6. That game feels a
Yeah,
lot different. And then if everything stays the
you go in
same,
a you go
go
in
to
a half
halftime
going
28
21
to
to
13.
13
Like it
or
feels a
20 to
lot
13. Yeah,
different, a lot different. So I'm not trying to hound on the guy. Like I don't think it's worth beating a guy down like that, but it's just
you're not trying to hound down
Narv
Nardog,
dog.
you know.
No, I just think that it's it's untenable, honestly.
We're we're veering towards I
And
understand
plus,
people want to hear more than just talk about the Packers kicker.
I know
It really is it is boring because
it
there
is.
is no winning unless if you hit 100% of your kicks. But
You have to have the lead time to go 100%. Like if you miss one, that that
yes,
that percent has to build a long way back up to get there. But I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't have the yips. He just might though, which is a problem. So all right, we're done talking about Chris or Braden Iverson. We gotta move on. Um, I think next up we gotta talk about penalties. Penalties were really
yes.
bad. It's also chronologically kind of the stuff we need to talk about right now. Um, Going through the second drive from Minnesota, Aaron Jones rattles off a big 15-yard run, add 50 more onto it because Edgerrin Cooper grabbed his face mask. The next play, Devontae Wyatt jumps offside, negates a like 7-yard catch by like I think Johnny Munt or somebody. Um, so they get 1st and 5, and then Darnold throws the ball down to Justin Jefferson near the sideline. Eric Stokes just can't get away, can't cover him properly, draws a DPI. And then the next play from the 3 yard line, Keyshawn Nixon gets a holding penalty on, I believe it was Naylor, if I'm not mistaken, as he runs an out route towards the sideline in the end zone. That's obviously called, and then Josh Oliver touchdown there. Some more penalties to go throughout to start the or near the end of the first half. There was a false start in Manuel Wilson who got two up on his toes and ended up obviously, like I said, false starting, and then there was a couple more, maybe not. Yeah, I
The
think that was it.
LaFleur.
Yeah, all we'll talk about LaFleur's when it's appropriate. We'll talk about that towards the end because that's not like a personnel thing. But I think
No, but that would have been a scoring play, possibly. Those to
I
Dobbs.
guess sure we'll talk about it. Well, no,
Yeah.
because the it definitely wasn't a touchdown. So
It was not.
to talk about it, Matt LaFleur
Yeah.
gets a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for losing his shit, justifiably so, against the refs. For context, Jordan didn't see this part in particular, so I'm gonna explain it to him as well as recant it for all of you folks. Uh, Packers are down. I forget how they got down there. I'm gonna try and check that now, but I forget what how they got down there honestly. Um, yep. Whatever. Sorry, that was a very dead air moment of the podcast. Packers are down near the end zone. I think they're in the red zone for sure. Romeo Dobbs catches the ball right at the goal line, double catches it, and when his knee hits the ground, ball is out of the end zone. For sure not touchdown. Ball is at the 1 yard line. Time is ticking
Yeah.
down in the first half. Matt LaFleur is seen calling timeout. Ref isn't looking at him. He's walking down. Ref like half glances at him, but then looks away from him. Matt LaFleur calls timeout again. He's yelling it, hands over his head, call timeout. And then he proceeds to then scream and run out onto the field, calling timeout. Refs throw a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct for running onto the field, despite them not seeing the timeout being called. Backs the uh, Packers up to the 16-yard line and have to use a timeout anyways to stop the clock from ticking. So, just an overall like I rarely want to make like all of the refs sucked kind of excuses today. Bill Vinovich's team was dog shit today. Like there were so many calls that I saw that they just didn't call on the Vikings. There was one where Eric Wilson gets held right across the chest for a big gain on Aaron Jones' run, and there was people talking in the Discord and not saying that they're wrong, but like we can complain. This was when they were down like 28-02. Like we can complain about the
Yeah.
refs when there's a game to actually complain about. It's like, well, no, like if you're going to complain about the refs, it's when these big plays happen that doesn't matter. A 2nd and 2 is a way better situation for the Vikings than 1st and 20. Like that's
Yeah.
just how that is. And when you don't call holdings like that, which is like holding happens on every play, of course, but they were calling holdings like that on Tucker Kraft when they took away a big play from I forget who it was.
It was a Josh Jacobs run for sure,
Yeah, it was a
if
big
not
Josh
more.
Jacobs run, and then Tucker Kraft. I didn't think it was a hold. Trent Green said it was a blatant hold. I was like, I don't know. He kind of looked like he just tackled him across the body. He didn't pull his jersey or anything. And so, yeah, Bill Benovich's team was very bad today. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Matt LaFleur probably gets fined for it for unsportsmanlike conduct. Like I think that's an automatic fine, and it's frankly bullshit. But and to the point of the rest of the players, just so many mistakes. Like I went through today's game as it happened. Once they started like going, and it's a lot of like mental mistakes and just bad mistakes that led to this half being so bad. So I have 13 mistakes essentially in
Yeah.
in the first half, whether it was missed tackles, missed field goals, penalties, or just bad play. 13 of them in the first half, all of them consequential. Like for example, Javon Bullard missed a tackle on Johnny Mundt, who instead of getting tackled for a 2 yard gain, gets tackled out of bounds for a 9 yard gain. And
Yeah.
so it's plays like that. Like they did, the team didn't show up today. We probably should have led with that. Who cares? We're 25 minutes in. The team just didn't show up today. That's basically what it boils down to. They cleaned it up a lot in the second half, but this team came out
Which is
flat footed.
what you'd expect.
What you'd expect. I'm sure they got their asses handed to them in the locker room, but it was it was just bad from the start. They were unfocused. The pass rush was not getting home. I called that on the last episode when we talked about what it would take to win this game. I said the team that gets after the quarterback more is going to win the game. That's what happened. Packers end up with more sacks, but Sam Darnold operated with a clean pocket for 3 quarters. He had absolutely no pressure in his lap to begin with. Devontae Wyatt wasn't doing anything, which was really upsetting because I was ready to write a pretty glowing GSPN Substack article about Devontae Wyatt. Kenny Clark doesn't do much. We didn't hear a lick of anything from Carl Brooks or Colby Wooden. Rashawn Gary doesn't do much. I saw Andy Herman talk about that Rashawn Gary has had one registered sack in his last 11 games. That's got to be better. Like, and sacks aren't everything, but when you get paid that much, they almost are everything. Preston was non-existent today. Lucas Van Ness was non-existent today. Kingsley Enigbar was non-existent today. Like, the only sack that they had that wasn't from Keyshawn Nixon's forced fumble in the second half was Quay Walker's. Do you know how bad it's got to be for Quay Walker to register the sack? Like, I'm not trying to give a backhanded compliment to Quay Walker, but like,
Well, it's also the
I can't remember the last time he had a sack.
he's just not. I mean, Packers are just not a very blitz heavy team either.
They should be
You
though.
mean
This
they should be,
like
and it honestly that is Quay
that's
Walker's best trade at this point.
right, and
You know
that's
what I
what we
mean?
were talking about coming in this week is that Sam Darnold isn't a mobile quarterback. He had a couple of scampers today when they broke contain that he scampered for, but he's not Anthony Richardson. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Lamar Jackson or any of these quarterbacks, right? He's Sam Darnold. He's a pocket passer, and he proved it today. And so when they don't get after him, and I think a lot of it probably has to come from the camp blitz because they're out Jair and Carrington Valentine.
That is
I think that's a big underlying part of why it went so
yes.
badly today. But golly, look what happened when they started blitzing in the second half. They got home because this offensive line fucking sucks. I'm sorry for the
Yes.
language,
Well,
but my
I think
word,
that's I think that it's twofold because one, I'm looking at Sam Darnold's stat line right now, and you're right, 20 of 28, 20 for 28 attempts, 275 passing yards, 3 TDs, 1 pick, 2 sacks for 21 lost yards, 123.4 passer rating. If you watch that game, yeah, there's some moments of wobbly moments that it's more so in the second half. I'd even account for the forced fumble that
Keisha
uh
Nixon.
yeah, Keyshawn Nixon got on the blind side blitz. He was still executing throws, and it's finding the soft spots in zone coverage and stuff like that,
He was dealing.
it's I think from that perspective, if you're going without your star cornerback who's looking forward to this matchup every year, or
Yep.
2 times a year at least. And Carrington Valentine was like not, Eric Stokes is Jair's number two, but Carrington Valentine was kind of in the rotation, basically your number three outside cornerback. You take those two out of your three best corners on the team. It's obviously going to affect your game plan. It's going to affect how you go into the game, especially. And I think that's why everything just looked it was beaten in very similar patterns. It wasn't Justin Jefferson, for all like you look at his stat line, 6 catches, 85 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 targets.
A lot of that came on like two passes too,
A lot.
or
Exactly. It wasn't,
and on their last drive when they kicked the field goal to take the lead.
that's what I was going to say. He had two back to back plays where he just rattled off like, big gains and sent Vikings into Packers territory. But it wasn't like this. He's a superstar, but he was not putting up superstar numbers. Those are good numbers, but it comes on 2 plays largely. It was everything else. It's also the Vikings are working with short fields because of turnovers. You know what I mean? Missing
Yep.
field goals. That
Yep.
flips the field, and they're
Mm-hmm.
starting from a better field position
From the
than
35,
kicking the
40 yard
ball.
line.
Exactly. So like from that standpoint, yeah, they had every gain to have
Yep.
because of everything. So yeah, I thought that's where, this is where Jeff Halfley, not that there's any this is a new experience for him going into his rookie year as a defense coordinator, not an NFL defense coordinator. I
Right.
know he's an experienced coach, but this was a good test for like, what do you do when you take the pieces away? And it's like, yeah, there's a price in playing something that's a little too vanilla.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'd almost argue that like I don't think I'm ready to like blame Jeff Halfley for today's like first half.
No, no, I think there was way more.
I think
The
it
other
was a
point that I was going to,
lot a lot of player focused mistakes on the defense than it is a scheme thing.
yes,
Cuz the scheme wasn't bad. Like they were getting beat in a couple of areas, but like um Corey Ballantyne gets absolutely cooked on Jordan Addison's touchdown. Falls to the double
yes,
move, gets huge
yes.
separation, just cooked, well done. Throw on a plate, send it out to serve. Freaking the Eric Stokes penalty at the 3 yard line because he can't cover Justin Jefferson. Like that's not Jeff Halfley's fault. And then
No,
like
that's a Stokes thing too.
that's a
He's a
Stokes
little
thing,
grabby.
right? And then I mean like I guess like some of the stuff over the middle late, but like I don't know. They couldn't stop the run, and I don't think that's a Halfley thing. This team has never been able to stop the run. I think it's the players and such, and I think there's just also a little juice coming from Aaron Jones playing it. And tell me if you've seen the Aaron Jones game before, Jordan. They ran Aaron
Yes,
Jones exactly how the Packers ran Aaron Jones. So many
yeah,
outside runs and up the A gap. That's all they were doing. And believe it or not, it worked.
it worked. It worked. No, I think your point is this is a lot of. I'm not saying that it should fall on Jeff Halfley. I think it's a combination of things. But yeah, I mean, it's the Packers. The biggest gripe that we probably had with the Packers during the first half of last year was very evident today. Is that it wasn't just that they made mistakes; it's that they made mistakes that compounded on each other.
Yeah,
It's it's a
100%.
false start that on a 3rd and 8 that goes to 3rd and 13, they don't convert the first down because it's a third and very long. Then Brady Narvison misses the field goal.
Yep.
It's Eric Stokes committing a pass interference. Then on the next play commits a holding penalty to get them even if
Keisha
I think it
Nixon.
was
Yeah.
1 yard, or yeah, Keyshawn Nixon. But like they're just if even if it's moving the ball a yard or two, it's still resetting the downs for the Vikings, so give
Right.
them more chances. So that's where it's like part of why the game got a little, too close for comfort for Minnesota in some degrees is that they were in cruise control. And why
Yeah.
you wouldn't blame them.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like this is a small theory I have too, is that it's when you're up so big in a game in the first half, chances are that this game gets a lot closer than you want it to be in the second half because
How many
you
times did
lose
that
the
happen in the
you
playoffs last year
you lose the intensity.
alone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking at the scoreboard, right, the box score right now. All of the Packers' second half points came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the Vikings were up all
28
throughout
to
the
7
third
through the third quarter.
handily, and then the Packers make their run, which credit to them. This is what they do when chips fall and it's not looking good in their favor. Is that
Yeah.
they make you believe that hey, they can maybe get it. This is what again. This is what was happening on Bunch last year,
Mhm.
and it made it even more infuriating when they couldn't complete comebacks. But yeah, I just thought there was just so much of the first half of you know just compounding on the errors that got you down deep in this mess to begin with. And we haven't even talked 1 minute about Jordan Love yet.
We're about to,
Let's do it.
because the offense in the first half was ugly. There was a lot of people pining in the Discord, but where's Josh Jacobs? Why isn't he running the ball? And I think that's a very fair argument. I think it's tough to run the ball as much as you would want to when you're down 28-7 at halftime.
I'll
But
say.
the Packers ran the ball 19 times for 86 yards today. Conversely, Jordan Love had 54 attempts today. He finishes with 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He is the first Packer since Brett Favre to throw 4 TDs and 3 interceptions in a game. That happened in 1999.
I'm gonna also believe there's maybe one other Packer that has done that
Maybe
ever.
ever,
Yeah,
but hasn't been done since Favre
yeah.
did it in '99. I had a buddy text me, and I should pull up the text so I can read it word for word. He said, "Love showing up today in a Favre jersey, playing obviously still hurt, and putting up that stat line is divine comedy." Yeah, I would agree with that because Love. And Ty said this on Twitter, and we had uh, replied about it. And I replied about it, kind of thing, of like, should Jordan Love like still had been playing throughout that? And my my counter is if he's healthy enough to play, he has to get the rust off at some point, right? Like
Yeah.
he looked bad to begin with, no doubt. Wasn't really stepping into throws. A lot of them are going low. One of his throws goes low enough, gets intercepted, and gets Christian Watson hurt. Christian Watson hurt. Christian Watson believed to have a high ankle sprain. No timeline as that I saw as of yet, but so he goes down, and once he goes down, that thrusts Dontavian Wicks into the fray. So I don't think that's the right word, but into the foreground of this offense becomes pretty
The
much
Frayground.
sure becomes pretty much wide receiver one throughout the game. He is targeted 13 times. Did you know his stat line? Do you, have you seen it?
I saw it after the fact,
Do
but
you
I
know how
saw
many catches he has?
yes,
He had five
5.
five catches, two of which were touchdowns.
Yes.
Targeted 13 times and only caught 5 of those balls. He, without a doubt, had his worst day as a Packer so far, no matter what. But before you, I know what you're going to say. And he's a couple of balls away from catching those balls from having his best day as a Packer ever. And we're
Yeah, it would
talking
have been
about
like
this
4
game.
touchdowns.
We're talking about this game for a very long time, like the coming
Yeah.
out game for Dontavian Wicks. I still think it's coming. I think he's shown that he has that ability, but my God, was it bad today? Like if he catches the touchdown that hits him square in the chest, they probably win.
Yes.
If he catches a number of any of other balls, they probably win. And I think like I don't know what's going on. Like I think he knows that he can do it. I just think he's in his head right now. And I don't know, but Jordan Love today, I don't know what he was thinking, dude. The the last interception he threw that was way deep for Wicks. Like that's not a smart throw. I know
That
Trent Green
honestly,
talked
that wasn't
about
even
it.
the most questionable one,
The
really,
Watson one
for me.
was here and there. I didn't see a end zone view of it.
It was triple coverage.
I know
There's
that.
3 guys there.
I know that. The issue is that Watson's there, and like he gets it to Watson's body, and the other guy obviously goes and hurts Watson. I don't think that's the most egregious one, but
Mm,
he had so many throws where he was throwing across his body, across the field, like just what are we doing type of throws. There was the one on fourth down when it was like fourth and I think like 10 or 12 or something. In Vikings territory, they didn't need a touchdown. It was still early, like it was probably the third quarter still, and he unloads a bomb to Bull Mountain for and into like double coverage. It drops incomplete, but what are we doing throwing that ball? You don't need a touchdown there. Like I'm a Jordan Love fan through and through. Like he's gonna be fine, but there was a lot of questionable decision making from Jordan Love. The passes he was throwing and just I honestly think he was just pressing too much. He felt like he had to score all 28 on one play once they were down that much.
everything that you said was stuff that we were saying last year. This is it felt very, regardless of the context of when essentially this is
Not to
felt
interrupt
like
you.
this season.
It
Yes.
felt like the Pittsburgh game.
Yes. That's what I was, yeah, exactly. That is a perfect example. It felt like this is like his true season debut because Brazil just feels like an exhibition game, but it does count. But it watching it, it's like your point of he's not stepping in throws early, so he's kind of figuring it out. I don't know how like PFF or these NFL Pro will look at the pressure rate that the Vikings gave him. I just think he had a really hard time dealing with that pass rush, how they disguise blitzes. I mean, me being a guy that doesn't, I'm not an NFL coordinator. I'm not even, I'm like, look at how many guys are on the line of scrimmage. You know, I'm just a simpleton here. But it was still like you watch these formations and they just like scatter
Yeah,
like on a dime. It was literally like synchronized swimming. It's
I wa-
no one is out of place.
So I was one of those nerds today that was like watching the box, and there were so many times. I think I had it like 3, 4 times in my notes where I noticed it and noted it, where the Vikings had 8 to 10 guys in the box,
Yeah,
and then rushed four.
yeah.
Like there was a lot of that, and like I think the pocket was pretty good today. Like there was definitely some scrambles
You went to
from Jordan.
stack, but in the
There was
pocket, I don't know. It was kind of it's
it was
really
tight. Don't get me wrong, it was tight there,
yes,
but there was a lot of times when Jordan Love was standing in and throwing passes that he needed to. There wasn't like it was
yes,
collapsing on him where he had to scramble to be able to throw the ball on a route. No, he was just standing there and throwing the ball in a tight pocket. Don't get me wrong, like it
yeah.
was tight, but I don't think it was bad by any means.
No, but it's this this is where it gets really deceptive. It's how one statistician or how someone looks at it versus another. The perfect example was probably the last pick, as you mentioned. It was a play of not looking good for Wicks, but it was a jump ball pass that Love kind of sets up because Harrison Smith is barreling down on him
Yep.
untouched. And it was not like he was going to get to him, but it does as a quarterback who was getting at least if hurried, if not thrown to the ground a couple times
Yeah.
on a after coming back from a knee injury. It
Also,
just threw off he's just a rhythm guy. And
yeah.
so when you don't have your rhythm established, it's going to be very herky jerky. It's going to be up and down. So this is where if you're talking about the season being this clock that has to get reset with Jordan Love coming back now, his clock is different than where everybody else is.
Yeah.
So if we're going by what he established during his first year as a Packers starter, it's going to take a couple games. We probably underestimated just how much and how challenging it was to come back against a Vikings team that plays a
That type of
really
defense.
challenging ski. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I just think that's it's very easy for us to overlook something like that, but for an
Yeah.
NFL quarterback, they've seen someone look at them like they want to take their head off in 3 seconds. Like that
Yeah.
is something that we have to consider.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I had a point
Like
to make and
what grade would you give him
see
for a C plus? I mean, he still had 4 touchdowns. He still made some like it. This is raw Jordan Love.
the
He made
touchdowns. The
plays.
touchdowns for me weren't like wow moments. Does that make sense? Like he's had uh throws
Yeah, it was more so. It
that it's
was more
like
so the
the
receivers that
receivers
got
being
him.
open.
Like Tucker Craftsman was.
Tucker Kraft's one where
I wanted to leap out of my couch.
stiff arms that guy and puts him in the dirt, dives, gets the touchdown. Um, Jaden Reed over the middle, or no, I think outside. I forget where the touchdown was scored, but like and neither of Wicks's touchdowns were special. Like they were, he was just open, and like
Yeah,
he just hit the guy, which is what I wanted to do. But the interceptions were ugly. he had a lot of really questionable decisions today. Like I think the stats make it look a lot better than he actually played. A lot
Yeah.
of the balls were off target. Um, yeah, just not hitting
There
guys.
were just a lot of it wasn't even Wicks, like the point that I was gonna
Oh, it
make
was
when you
everybody.
yeah, like
Like Dobbs.
there were
Dobbs.
a
Sorry.
lot of
Go ahead.
there were a lot of early throws to Kraft that were really low.
Yeah,
And it's these are
it was like the
not they were
second one
like
of the game.
check downs, they're dink and dunks.
Yeah.
Like they're not challenging throws. And it's
Nope.
like you could just
And
tell
it's
he's
and it's
not
because
finding it
he
yet.
didn't want to put pressure on his front leg,
Yep.
which like I get. I understand that. But I think to your point, this really was like his debut at home, and it was his first time kind of being out on a regular field. So I think he'll be fine the rest of the season. I'm hoping so, obviously. But next week the Rams come to town, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-mm.
Or
They're going to
they
LA.
go out to well, they play the Rams, who lost today to the Bears, I believe, and
Yes.
so they're without Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua, so they're going from a team that has a lot of offensive weapons in the Vikings to not many for the Rams. So that game should be better than this one, but I think it'll be better next weekend.
Mm,
It's just yeah, I this week of practice for him needs to be like relearning that confidence that he has with his leg. Because I think once that comes back, he'll be fine. It's just he can't keep throwing the balls that he was throwing today. Like there was so many like the two back to back plays in the first half, I believe, when Romeo Dobbs goes up, catches the ball, is high, and comes down with it. Vikings challenge. It was incomplete. Replay, not replay the down, but next down, similar pass over the
Wicks.
middle to Dontavian Wicks is low. Looks like Wicks gets his hand under it, but refs call it complete, and then Vikings challenge it. It's overturned. I believe the actually the Packers overturned the first one, the or
Yes.
challenged the first one for Romeo Dobbs. But that's two throws right there that if they're just on target, then they then there's no issue to be challenged there. And so, yeah, it was just bad.
Yeah. I thought the microcosm for him is it was they get the forced fumble, or was it the forced fumble?
Which one? There's only one.
Was it the pick?
Oh, the pick on the Xavier McKinney pick on Darnold near the goal line.
Yes. I think that's what it was. I'm looking at my notes and I may have misnoted.
What are you trying? Just make your point.
Either way, uh, he hits Wicks on like a go route. It was a great route by Wicks, and they get into Vikings territory. Then the next throw was the bomb to Wicks that was like, "What are you doing?" Like, yeah, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
the Harrison Smith pressure,
yeah.
that one,
That
and it's
was
like
that
that's
was the ensuing uh kickoff after the field goal.
yeah. So I thought they were closer. That was where the score line. I
Yeah.
thought they were closer, but I felt like having those back-to-back plays were very like a microcosm for Jordan Love's day.
Yep.
I'm just like Jordan Love giveth and Jordan Love taketh away in some ways.
He does. At least right now. So, um, couple of highlights at least. Well, there's a few things to talk about. Do you have anything else like bad to talk about that you want to get off and rant and rave about? I don't think there was too much else like really bad. Romeo Dobbs' kind of double catching thing came back, but there's a lot of just bad throws. I'm not really going to hold that against him. Um, we kind of had our piece about the secondary and the pass rush not getting home. I just don't think there's too much
Tucker
else, but
Tucker Crash football fumble was pretty disappointing.
yeah,
That was
that
it was
that's
a
just
good play by the
that's another
defender,
mental
but
error. Like just go out of bounds. You don't need extra yards there. Just go out of bounds, and then this game is different.
yeah. I thought your point about the pass rush was very disappointing. I mean, I'm not shocked to be honest
I
because
am. I'm really shocked. This O
are
line
you
sucks.
though?
This O line sucks.
I understand that, but I as much as we look at that on paper, it's like Packers before last week, they were not really a team. Again,
But again, but that
contextual to their
we talked
opponent.
about to their scheme is that they weren't trying to do that. And if that was, I don't think that was the plan coming in. I just think they couldn't get home, and then the loss of Jair and Carrington Valentine doesn't help them. I think if they
No.
have Jair and Carrington to cover Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, this game looks a lot different. And I expect it to look a lot different in 10 weeks or so whenever they play the Vikings again in Minnesota when hopefully both of them are healthy. Because again, the Vikings offensive line is not good. They're just not.
No.
And so it's it frustrates me to no end that that's how the first half looked from them. Because
Yeah.
it's not, we know they can do better. If Jeff Hadley's able to send 5 or 6 on these guys, it's game over in the first
Yeah.
half. But he just couldn't do it. He didn't have the personnel in the back end, which like then goes into a whole bigger, longer conversation about team building. I saw a lot of fans today really upset with the team building aspect of it. And it's like, buddies, fans of the Packers, that is not the time for this. There are so many other reasons to be upset today than not
Yeah.
taking Max Melton in the second, or not taking fucking anybody else later in the rounds. And like Evan Williams had a good play today, blew up. I
Yep.
think it was who is that? Who is? It's not Naylor. It's the other guy. It starts last name starts with a P.
Powell.
Yeah, Brandon Powell.
Yes.
Yeah, Brandon Powell over the middle. Evan Williams goes to get the interception, blows him up, breaks up the pass. Great play. Like he played well on those couple of snaps that I saw him play well. Xavier McKinney. Well, we're gonna go into the good in a second, but like I don't think the secondary is a true issue. They're just shallow, right? They're not very deep. They have
Top heavy.
Jair and Carrington Valentine and Stokes. And that's kind of it. Keyshawn, we're yeah, it was bad today for him.
Yeah. I will say
the
the touchdown that Jefferson scored and he was covering.
no,
I don't know. I don't know how anybody else.
you turn your head the other fucking direction.
I know, but
I
the
understand.
ball
It's
it
a
wasn't
really
like
good throw. It's a really good throw. Don't I'm not
but it
discounting Sam
hits
Darnold and I'm not discounting
it
Justin
hit
Jefferson.
Jefferson in the chest pads.
I don't care. It's a good throw. It's a good catch. He's running with Keyshawn Nixon, and he looks over his other shoulder. Why wouldn't you turn your head the other way where his hands are? He's turning away from his hands. He's running like it's going to be a deep over the shoulder throw.
Mm-hmm.
Turn your head the other way. His hands are here. He's inside. He had he had Justin Jefferson on his inside hip. If he was on his outside hip, sure, turn it so you can block it as it comes over your head. Oh, it made me so mad, Jordan. Why did he turn his head that way? It made no sense. His hands weren't over there. His hands were on his inside hip. Oh my god. No, Keyshawn had a tough day today. I saw so many. I follow like a couple of like Minnesota Wild uh beat reporters and a couple of like Matthew Collar
Yeah.
the Vikings beat reporter.
Purple Insider.
Yep. And a lot of Vikings fans were talking about how Keyshawn Nixon just might not come back and play the second half because he was getting cooked. Just
Yeah.
cooked. Like, I don't want to hear Keyshawn talk about much of anything in coverage ever again until we see some actual production of him because it was not good.
K9 man. K9.
It wasn't good. Sorry. That I had got that piece out earlier today. I was having a conversation with my wife. I was like, why is he doing this? Oh, it made me so mad. Okay, let's talk
Breaking
about.
news: Keyshawn Nixon is not getting a cheese this week.
No, he's not. Let's talk about the good. There wasn't meant to be a pause there. I
Crickets?
said I wanted to go where I wanted to go. They only ran the ball 19 times. Josh Jacobs had a really effective day running the ball. 9 carries,
Yes.
51 yards, an average of 5.7 touches or yards per carry. Like I think he played very well. He had a couple of big runs called back because of penalties. Emmanuel Wilson had a couple too. He only goes 8 for 27, not as an efficient day. But like they were running the ball well when they were running the ball. And I think
Yep.
that's a very encouraging thing. Like I think um I didn't really notice Sean Ryan much in the past, like the passing game today. But the first drive on Josh Jacobs, his first touch of the game, um, he runs off of a 10 plus yard run, all led by Sean Ryan pulling and getting a block on the linebacker in the middle of the field. I think he gets like 12 or 13 yards out of it. Like that's a really
Yeah,
awesome block from Sean Ryan. And Zach Tom loses his streak of not having any pressures allowed today. He had a couple of pressures allowed for sure. Um,
for
but like
sure.
the run game is good, and I think that this team is going to be at its best. Believe it or not, when they're not down 28-0, but when they
That would
can run the
help.
ball equally, because
Yes.
they ran the ball 19 times today. One of which was a Jordan Love scramble, the other of which was a Jaden Reed end around, which went for nothing. But with their two running backs, they ran 17 times, um, which is just about a third of the times they passed the ball today. Which, like,
Yeah.
understandably, they were down a lot. You got to pass the ball to get back in the game, which they did. But I think when this team is balanced, they're going to be at their best. Which is again, I think basic level, surface level of analysis. But I think it really does hold true because Josh Jacobs was an effective runner today against a front that hadn't really done much against any quality running backs. We talked about that in the preview last week. Is that the running backs that the Vikings face weren't very good, and I think you can look at the box score and be like, oh, well, Josh didn't have a very good game today. He only had 51 yards on almost 10 catches, 10 touches. Well, no, he had a lot of big breaking runs. He had, I think, a couple
Yeah.
over. His longest was 13, but I think he had probably two or three that were 10, 13 yards. He had a nice catch. He has four catches for 27 yards. And so, like, I think Josh Jacobs is coming into his own. He still doesn't have his first touchdown as a Packer yet, but I think it's a bright spot to build on for Josh Jacobs. Obviously, not his biggest day. That goes against um the Colts a few weeks ago, but
He had more yards this week than he did in Tennessee.
right, and that's good. Like Tennessee has a
Yeah.
really good front, and so
Yep.
if against a better and also a good front, but like they just I thought I was impressed with Josh Jacobs' like game today. Not like eyes wide, really impressed kind of thing, but if you watch the game instead of just looking at the box score, he had a pretty good game today. That was me trying to do one of
Yes.
your silly, goofy impressions as a fan.
If you watch the game. Yes. I agree. I thought part of, you want to play complementary football. The disparity between run and pass play is just one. That's not how the Packers are gonna win. I could tell you, regardless of looking at the box score, if you had shown me this is how many passing plays that they had, this is how many passing attempts that Jordan Love had, and you see how many overall runs that they had, it's like, yeah, they probably were losing a lot and lost. That is just how it is. They have with Aaron Jones last year, and evidently it's happy with Josh Jacobs taking over his place. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought the run game when he was in, I think if anything, they wanted to give Emmanuel Wilson more of a shot today, and
Yeah,
it was
that's a
mixed
development.
bag.
That's a development. I think we saw a lot of Manuel Wilson today, and I'm not gonna say inexplicably because like you could never get me to say that, but
It's not. It wasn't like it was coming out of, or came out of nowhere.
right.
But
I think there was
when you're
a
passing as
lot of
much,
justifiable questions of like why isn't Josh Jacobson, which I can understand.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think if you play this game over 10 times, then you don't have as many mistakes as the Packers have because they had a lot, five turnovers. We're just gonna make this point however many minutes into the podcast. If you have five turnovers and two missed field goals, yeah,
You're not
you're
gonna
not
win the
winning that
game,
game.
and they
Yeah,
almost did, which
that's
is
how it
crazy.
is. Yes,
And
exactly.
I hate the silver lining thing of it. Peter Bukowski made it, and I hate it. But in their two losses this year, they've put up. Let me make sure I have the
They
mathematics out here.
lost. They had
They
29
put up,
points,
huh,
right?
huh.
Didn't they have 29 in Brazil?
Yes, they lost 33-29, I think.
Yeah,
Whatever it
something
was.
like that.
Not what the point I was making. In their two losses this year, they've put up 400 yards total offense in both games.
Yeah.
This is an offense that moves, and we're gonna translate that into our next positive. Jaden Reed is a fucking dog, dude. folks, I am sorry for the language, but Jaden Reed can play football, man. He is awesome. I got his jersey out again. It's the only jersey I'm going to wear from now on. But oh my God, 7 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. I think the best part about Jaden Reed is just he knows that he needs to make a play. Like there was so many times where he needed to go get a ball, go up and get it. He has sure hands. And the second best part of Jaden Reed's game is his energy. Did you see his celebration after he scored the first touchdown?
Yeah.
Just like all of the energy trying to get the team back into it, trying to get the fans into it kind of thing. And I think he succeeded. Like I said it, I think I said this earlier in the pod, but when Jaden Reed scores that touchdown, I was like, okay, what the path to winning here, and obviously like it didn't, but the idea would have been Jaden Reed scores touchdown. It's 28-7. Come out of the half, you get the ball, go down the field, score. It's 20-14. Your defense has now been resting a long time. Reset how you approach the offense that you've been porous to thus far, and let's get this game going again. It ends up going a little differently than that, but I think like the defense came out in the second half and looked really good.
Yeah.
Like Xavier McKinney, we're kind of jumping all over the place now as we talk about the kind of the good stuff. Xavier McKinney's 4 interceptions in 4 games. Side note, again, people, I apologize for the swearing. I swear that I'll try to rein it in next week as well. Bill Venovich's crew fucking sucks. I am all about Jade or Xavier McKinney getting a touchdown or getting that interception. That wasn't a pick. He he definitely did not have control of it when he landed out of bounds. Like he just didn't. It wasn't an interception. And like again, I'm fine with it. I'm all for the stat padding. He bobbled it and went out of bounds, not having control. It was not a catch. But for all intents and purposes, it is an interception. 4 in 4 weeks. Absolutely goes up and gets the ball on what would have been an Aaron Jones touchdown. I mean, at this point in the season, he's the Packers MVP. He just is. And there's
Yeah, he's
no
a
ifs, ands,
freaking
and
human vacuum of footballs. That's what he is.
that's what he is. And there was one earlier in the game that he had a chance. Like if he was like really going and trying to get that ball,
Yeah.
he could have like dove for it and tried to make an attempt at it, but he ends up just like running over to it and it lands at his feet kind of thing. But oh man, he's awesome, dude. He
He's
is
great.
awesome.
He's consistent.
Yeah,
This is what you need.
yeah.
I'll
And
I'll take a pick a game. Thank you very much.
I that's what I'm saying, dog. Go
He's on
for it.
track for the record
I think Packers record is 7.
in a season.
I think he wanted 7 was his.
He wanted 7. That was the
Oh, because
big
that's how
thing.
many they had last year, or something like that. I wonder. Yeah, look
Well,
up how
that
many.
yeah.
Look up what the franchise record is.
I'm looking
Um,
it up.
but yeah, he was really good. Um, trying to think of a couple other guys that I saw that had good days.
Then I'm seeing 10.
By who?
10 is the record set by. It was set in 1943, hence the name that I'm about to say.
Tungsten O'Doyle.
Irv Comp.
I hate that. Don't like that.
Yep.
Don't like that name.
Irving Henry Comp.
All right.
He only could see in one eye.
That's just
So the
not true.
Packers,
That's just
the
not
Packers,
true. You're lying to me. That isn't true.
the Packers, single season interception leader. His name is Irv Comp, and he can only see in one eye.
I just don't believe you.
The Green Bay Packers, ladies
I
and gentlemen.
just don't believe you.
I'm reading it right
Oh
now.
my god.
Thank you, Cliff Crystal.
Oh my god.
He was rejected for military duty because he was blind in one eye.
That's crazy. That is so crazy.
Oh,
The other good player on this team, Daniel Whalen. He is probably getting a cheese this week, folks. Just letting y'all know, because
well, we that may be under review. Let's not commit to anything here.
We're not committing to
Yeah.
anything. I'm saying he probably might.
Oh, no, yeah, you may not be wrong. That drop kick onside
Dude,
attempt,
I doubt they practiced that.
you doubt?
Yeah, I don't think they
You
practice.
doubt they practice
I
it?
don't think they practice that.
I think that's better than doing a normal kick.
I agree. I don't think they
Do you see?
practiced it.
Do you see that the Vikings guy? He's like, oh, like he was trying to like hungry hippo
Yeah,
it.
like he muffed it, but I think it's like I think you were just hoping for a better bounce. I forget his name. I think it's Jake in the Discord talked about it, where the new meta should just be the drop kick and just rifle it into somebody's chest,
Yeah,
dude, and hope
just
for
take
a
him out,
take
point
him
blank,
out, dude.
like the Peyton Manning SNL sketch. Do that with drop kicks.
Right. I think like that. Oh man. So anybody else, Jordan? I'm going through it. I don't really see anything else. Like I'm just happy that the defense kept them in it in the second half. Like I think that is they took what was wrong. Halfley made an adjustment, hopefully, or he just chewed their asses out. Pick your best option.
Oh,
Both maybe.
excuse my yawn.
And they end up making it a game again. Like this game is entirely a game because uh the defense kept them in the second half. The Vikings only scored 3 points in the second half. Vikings scored 28 in the first half, three in the second half. Viking or Packers score 7 in the first half, 22 in the fourth quarter. Like, and again, that's
Yep.
part and parcel because Brian Flores' defense was uh just letting them move the ball down the field. Like that was had that conversation again today too. Wife asked how the Packers can do nothing all game, but then do this in the fourth quarter. It's like, well, that's kind of the game. Just let them waste clock and
Yep.
getting down the field, knowing that a lot of things got to go wrong for you to lose the game. And they were right. They were on the right side of the math. So sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, I think the other guy was shot. I mean, the fumble was disappointing, but I Tucker Kraft's touchdown was
Yeah,
that was fun.
it was fun.
Just bulldozing a guy.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's very few like outright positives, and you take what you can get from the gleaming of guys that did good plays being made by guys that didn't have great days. That's what it was.
yep, exactly. So, all right, folks, that does it for us on this episode. Talk of the Tundra. Jordan, do you feel any better?
I always feel great.
Oh, good, good.
I'm talking Packers with my friend Numa.
Oh, good, 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 good. Glad we're
How
feeling
are
great.
you feeling?
Not great. I'm actually more mad.
I could tell after talking about
Keyshawn-
Keyshawn Nixon's.
yeah, I think I would have been fine had I not relitigated that idiocy, but
Mm,
alas. All right, folks. Thank you for listening. Go check out gspn.info to check out the premium Substack. Find all the GSPN After Darks. A lot of fun on those pods. All of these Eurostep Podcast Network pods ad free. Be sure, folks, if you are listening, go check out Cruising for a Bruising. The Brewers are going to start their playoff series on Tuesday against either the Mets or the Diamondbacks. And then from there, Adam and Andrew will have you through the playoffs all the way to the Brewers World Series appearance and likely win. So go check it out. They've been doing great work all over that pod for 162 games this season. Excuse me. They deserve your listen. Brewers deserve your support. Go check them out. GSP.info for all of that
sound like a
information.
regular Pat Murphy.
Yeah, I know. Shut up. Um, Go check out Eurostep and Win in Six. Bucks Media Day is this week, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's today as you're listening
Monday.
to this. Um, so
Chris Middleton's not clear to return. It is truly the start of
it
Buck
is the
season.
truly season start of the Buck season. Um, and then make time for this, all that good stuff for movies and films and things like that. So, all right, folks. Like I said, thank you for listening. Appreciate you, and Jordan, thank you.
Aloha.